well. And there he is already, High Tech. Welcome to the show. Thank you for inviting the Back to Warcraft community to the FFA Masters semifinals.
Hey, hey. And yeah, thanks for joining me as well.
Yeah.
Let me quickly check. Yeah, we are missing some players still.
Yeah, I saw that. I joined the game. I was like, I'm already kind of late, but as the one-on-one community, the FFA community seems to take some time.
Sometimes. Not always, but yeah, you're right. Sometimes they do.
Right, so we got one match today, we got one match tomorrow, and the final hopefully next week. We'll see if we can fit that in somehow.
Yeah, that would be great. It's always a bit difficult or different than with some other tourneys where you know in advance when it's going to be played. And in FFA, obviously, you need 4 players to align on a date, which makes it a bit more tricky.
Yeah, especially throughout the week, it's not that easy. So last time we casted an FFA, I don't know, it's been half a year or something, even longer. That was a Chinese special show match thingy with 12 players, I guess. What do we have in store today?
Yeah, today will be a bit less chaotic, most likely. So we're only going to have 4 players, which is normal for FML matches. And in contrast to I think it was mostly, you said only Chinese players, right?
Yeah.
And usually, especially if it's a show match, like no one really gives a shit. So they will just play. And in like real competitive FFA, usually it's more about balancing and really try to get an edge, and more like a bit less chaotic because people really care for winning. And there is usually not a straight up way to win a game because you're always up against 3 players or at least 2. And you can't really, you're always up against more gold and more heroes. So you need to get an advantage somehow. So it's probably, yeah, it's going to be a bit less chaotic. Yeah.
Right. That makes it, of course, a little easier for people who are new to FFA. I mean, we cast a lot of one-on-one. We cast some 2-on-2s, but FFA is pretty special content here. I thought I would take 3 days off, but I saw your message today. I was like, okay, that I wanted to cast FFA for such a long time. I got the day off. It's kind of early. Let's go with it, man. It's really cool. I'm really excited, as I have, of course, no clue about what's going on. I did take a little dive into the comprehensive guide to FFA, so I'm not 100% clueless, but I'm looking forward to how things pan out, like in real time.
Yeah. It's very different. It feels very different, and also it's difficult for someone who has now seen many FFA matches to put myself into the shoes of someone who has not, because there is more stuff is going on the map, and it's sometimes some of the actions may not be as obvious, so people may lose armies it's not accidentally, but intentionally, just to drop to 50 and get more gold or to appear weaker. Then there's this chat factor, so people may use the chat to manip their enemies. So
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to the Neutron chat. I haven't seen a FFA game of his, but if he acts in FFA like he does in real life, then we're in for a treat.
yeah, he is chatting, but not as much as some others. But it's not going to be as much of a chat heavy game. So we have some players in the league that are relying on manip a lot, and if you have 2 of these players in a game, so if you have at least 2 players that are willing to chat, then it can become a bit annoying sometimes. But with this cast, usually it should be fine. So let's see, we have all players in the lobby.
Such a professional host is not allowing dark green. I like that a lot.
Yeah, it's especially in a mode where people may try, like base race is much more common in FFA than it is in other modes, simply because it's all about balancing, and usually in many games players end up just with heroes and some buildings. So it's a huge edge if you have a color that's not really visible on the map. And
Yeah, I can totally see
yeah.
that.
And obviously you can like change the minimap and stuff, but it's still an edge.
Also, for the viewers, it's
Yeah, exactly.
way easier, of course.
And this
see.
green is the worst for sure.
And black. I hate black so much.
Yeah, we have in the rules we have banned black, white, dark brown, dark green, and all similar colors to like other colors that are already chosen by other players.
Like the pink and purple right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's I think that's okay. Like it's usually I do think pink and purple, like even if it's the darker pink, it's okay.
All right. So we talked about Neutron already. The other players here are Seksi, Laegoose, and Nightwing. What can you tell us about these three?
So we do have. Let me quickly try to solve this color issue. No black, no white, no dark green, no brown.
Damn. That's some authority right here.
Yes.
Usually in the one-on-ones when we have some star players, especially in China, everyone is always so nice. And would you, kind sir, would you please think about the possibility of changing your color to something that's easier visible? But here, it's just high-tech throwing down the hammer. I like that.
Yeah, I may have more authority here as a like admin and caster than it might be the case in some other tourneys, but it's just annoying because I mean people are trying to get this kind of edge. Yep. But here we go.
All right, pink and purple stay in. And I really hope that this booster thing is working and we get our game on the way. Short little introduction to FFA. How bad is Reforged for the scene?
Good question. I mean, this disconnect issue is obviously arguably worse in FFA, unless you're talking about big one-on-one cups. In FFA, matches take longer, and it's even more annoying if you disconnect after 1 or 2 hours than it is after 10 minutes. So that's the worst. Apart from it, I guess we're all stuck with the same, and it's and everyone plays old graphics, so I mean, new graphics, whatever.
Shouldn't get a desync then, I guess. So I'm gonna start my recording, so I do a little introduction. We're here with a very special FFA content, free for all, FFA Masters League season 30, and we're in the semifinals. Seksi, Neutron, Laegoose, and Eshan, and my co-caster is High-Tech, and he will introduce us to the beautiful world of FFA. We see Neutron as human. Does that happen often?
Yeah, he plays human and elf in FFA, and he feels more comfortable with human. Had an interesting conversation with him earlier about it today. Human is a very strong race in FFA due to mass TP late game and masonry also, but elf also very strong. So it's I don't know. I like his elf more in FFA, but also his human should be decent, and his early pushes are quite strong. So he spawns here from Moscow, Russia, here in the top right, and he's next to Eshan from New York City, who chose elf. I think he plays random regularly, but here he is with elf, and probably going to face a strong opponent here in Neutron next to him. So it's going to be an interesting one. And then we have from Phoenix, also another US player, we have Seksi, who plays random on ladder, but picks undead most of the time in competitive FFA. And he had most points going into the semifinals, so this map, the Crucible, was his map choice. And it's an interesting one because it's not a map that we regularly play, because it's not a very balanced map, arguably, but it might be good for him.
I'm looking at his base and he's teching already. What the fuck is this build? Is this a normal FFA build?
Yeah, that's quest build. I'm not sure. I haven't followed his build exactly if it's 100% quest build, where you tech instantly. I don't think it is. No, it's not. He, like, usually you would, because you don't face any risk of being rushed usually. Like, there are very few rushes in competitive FFA, simply because you usually can't finish an enemy quickly enough and you just lose so much time. That's why people are not rushing regularly, and that's why you can tech very greedily, especially as undead, where you want your heroes out quickly.
Oh yeah, you forgot. I cut you off before you introduced the last player. Sorry about that.
No problem. Yeah, last but not least, we have Laegoose, or I don't know how to pronounce him, but he's not from France, but from Russia. So it's probably not Laegoose. I don't know. But he's from the, or he managed to secure the semifinals slot from the rookie bracket that we had this season. So he played FFA until 2007, I think, and then he abandoned Warcraft 3 for over a decade, and now he returned. So yeah, he's the least experienced player of these four here. Followed by, FFA-wise, followed by Neutron, and Seksi and Eshan have more than 10 years, so probably roughly 15 years of FFA experience. So
Wow.
that's yeah, and that makes a difference, because FFA sends just to have an idea what's going on the other side of the map without scouting everything all the time is just very important in these matches.
Yeah, it seems super complicated to me. When is the timing to push? When do you team up? What do you do when two people are teaming up against you? Like the possibilities in this game mode seem rather endless.
Yeah, there are more ways to victory. Usually, normally you have two one-on-ones early on, and only once one player is defeated, you end up in a three-way where everyone takes turns and you just team up with the other, or at least you wait and let. So it's like a balancing. Obviously, you always want to maintain your winning condition, so you never want to spend all your gold on one enemy late game in a three-way if the third player has plenty of gold still and can just easily erase both of you. So that's why you always want to balance it at that point. And early on, it's really like piecing in four-way is a very controversial thing, because it's not like, usually it's expected by all players to fight early on, but there are some players who tend to piece too early, which yeah, it's a bit of a controversial thing, but we'll see here.
So piecing is like the no rush rule, right?
Yeah,
Leave
I mean,
me alone until a certain moment.
Exactly. I mean, there's no ultimate rule for piecing, and there can be backstabbing, so you can even piece and attack someone 30 seconds after, but that's considered, like, obviously you lose, like, you want players to trust you to some degree, so that's something you want to avoid if possible. So usually you want to piece in order to either scout, stay alive, or potentially team up against a player that becomes too strong. So piecing is always temporary and is not to be mistaken with pre-teaming, which obviously is forbidden. So, and we
That would be two players making a pact before the game, and then okay.
Exactly. So FFA, competitive FFA only works out because everyone should go into the game with a somewhat open mind. So obviously you know that some players are stronger than others, but you should be prepared to fight every player if needed. And like, it's not supposed to be 2-on-2 or something. So yeah, we do see here Seksi securing the dragon creep camp here in the center, which obviously with Garx he can take very early on. And there are a lot of orange creep camps, but it can be difficult to find if you're on the wrong side of the map. It can be difficult to find creep camps later on, so it's nice to get this these experience boosts early. And also, and that's something we see by Neutron here very nicely, there are only two mid two gold mines in the center with 20k gold each. So it's very difficult to continue mining them later on. But this early, it's really nice to get some gold of these 20k.
Yeah, we see a lot of expansions already.
Yeah, usually
On either side.
yeah, on most maps you will never attack in this kind of a match before the second expo, because you fall behind too much if you don't take the second. So on almost every match you would take 2 to 3 expos before taking the first fight, unless you're really into rushing and there are some strategies to do so. But in this case, yeah, players will play a bit more conservatively and try to get some experience.
Just to make very sure, this is best of 1, right? So whoever wins this is in the grand final.
Exactly. So it's all in or nothing. So that's usually like the fun thing about FFA, that even if it's perceived as luck very often, and on ladder it can be more random because players have little idea what's going on the map. But if all players have a high interest in winning the game and scout well and have decent FFA sense, it's usually like you can't win straight up, so you really need to find solutions. You need to, you just need to overcome many challenges, and it's like a win is more difficult, arguably, but also more rewarding if you fight 2 hours and you get a victory. And matches can last from 35 minutes until, like, we had some 6-hour matches, but not.
Okay. I'm not ready for that. You said, oh, it's gonna be like 2 hours.
Yeah, with these players, I'm very confident it's not going to last more than 2 to 3 hours, rather less, but we'll see. Will be interesting. And I honestly,
I'm in for the joyride. It doesn't matter what happens. I'm with you.
You're casting 8-hour ESL Cup, so this should be absolutely no issue.
Yeah, that's true.
But it gets frustrating on some maps because some maps have hidden islands that you can take. So there is an island rule this season, because if there is none, everyone can just, or there are situations where players just start to camp on islands that you can't really, like, that you need to scout first of all, and then that you need to kill late game somehow. And it can be very frustrating to have one player just camping on an island somewhere in the corner. And maps like Silver Pine Forest or Twilight Ruins have these islands. So this season we have a 1 building per island rule, and I don't think it comes into effect here because I don't think there is an island on this map actually. There is here, but it will be very difficult to reach it. So probably not going to happen.
So for the Night Elves, we see the same hero combo here at tier 3 with the Tinker, Panda, and Keeper. Is that the norm?
Yeah, there are many more viable hero combos, I think, but Tinker these days, since they buffed the rockets, so rockets can deal more damage and deal damage to air units. And or did they always deal damage to air units?
No, I don't think so. That was changed.
Into air, right? And also the mechanical units. So since then, Tinker is just very, very strong in FFA.
Yeah, we even see them in one-on-one, so I can definitely imagine him making an impact here, especially on a map with like mana fountains and stuff, and with heavy item use. You can just spam them like so crazy, and Robo Goblin should be nice as well against heavy nuke, for example.
Yeah, and it's the best hero in base race and late game, and Elf has the weakest heroes in FFA, so base race very often is your best bet late game against high level undead and human heroes. So Tinker obviously great for that and can be nuked as easily. So it's great. And we do see here a little aggression by Laegoose against Seksi, but yeah, not really yet. And yeah, Laegoose with 3 expos here, staying on 50 supply. Seksi also 50 supply. And now you see like everyone on rather low levels still, but yeah, no more creeps left. So we do see first aggression here by Neutron on Eshan, but this is the crucible, so you can't really push into main bases with ground armies.
Yeah, I thought that. I see, man, there's a high ground. There's like 500 towers. There's the Tinker operating from range. Neutron, what are you doing?
Yeah, and he's it became really predictable with Neutron and Human because he always goes for the same rifle push here early on. So I don't think it's unexpected here for Eshan, and he prepared well. And with Tinker Panda, you should be able to fight this off. And as we see, he's able to stay on 50, while Neutron is on 80 supply. So Eshan is getting way more gold right now. So as long as he fights this off, he should have no issue at all. Obviously, Neutron has one more gold mine potentially if he gets the 4th one, but let's see.
Yeah, that looks like a super hard siege. We had inner fire mortars, but yeah, these rockets, breath of fire combos, love them already, and I definitely love Neutron getting trashed by FFA players. So far.
Yeah, he has a superior micro, but sometimes his army composition is a bit off early on, and Eshan is, as I mentioned, a very experienced player. His micro might not be the strongest, but he's one of the most try-hard players, so he always tries to find a way to victory, be it by chat, be it by hiding. So he will never leave the game unless he's really out of options. So it's one of the challenges to fight him early on, that he will usually try to manip the other players into, if he's about to lose, it becomes very difficult to finish him off because he will try to manip the other players into turning against you. But yeah, Neutron is not falling back. He needs to make use of his 80 supply army here, and he's going for these expos. So Eshan is forced into getting an army now. He's going for Mountain Giants, Chimeras, interestingly.
Super expensive army, of course. I like what Neutron is doing, not banging his head against these tower walls, but scouting adequately, I think, taking out the first expansion and scouting the second one as well. So at one point, I guess Nightwing has to react, or Eshan has to react. He doesn't. Oh, Paladin trapped and killed. Oh boy.
Yeah, that Paladin had a short life. And for Elf, it's an interesting position, because usually you want, like, I would just try to go up to 100 supply now, because now he's losing his expos. Go up to 100 supply and try to push the human main base. That is rather unprotected here. So you want the human to TP into your rockets and breath of fire. And ideally, if you have many chimeras, you can try to kill the castle and make sure that the human can't get any tanks or something. So doesn't seem to be his plan here.
Yeah, it seems like Neutron has no intention of not killing anything. So it's a typical play, would you say that? Like, two players are having peace in the south and just building their army, and one of the other two is stupid enough to force fights, and that will hurt them in the late game, as Eshan says, or is it just a trick to stop this?
I do think the other two players will start to fight at some point, because you need experience. Like, at some point we need to start gathering some experience, but it can be nice on a map like this to get some gold. And as I mentioned, I mean, Laegoose is a bit less experienced, and Seksi has the advantage now. He has the center 20k mine, so as an undead, staying on 50 with 5 mines is obviously a lot of gold that you don't want to waste. So it can make sense for him to just hoard a bit, and it's like there are pros and cons to it. And on like, one of the pros is obviously you can get a lot of gold early on, and then you just continue to fight all the time. So that can be better than having a quick fight early on. But you see right now with Neutron, like, he's stuck with this 80 supply. He's going up to 100 now, but he's not really getting much done except killing some expos that will just be rebuilt quickly. So this 80 supply push is not really worth it unless you can get some stuff done.
Okay, Neutron already looking for excuses and flaming. I like that. This is exactly what I expected.
Yeah, I reminded players that we will be that you will stream the games, so they should avoid. They should avoid.
I mean, there's censorship on Battle.net anyway, so they can't say the worst thing.
Yeah, it's sometimes difficult to find like a red line. But we do see Seksi here pushing into the elf main base just to scout. Will be forced to TP, but I guess he doesn't care. And now we see Laegoose pumping chimeras, and Seksi going for these wisps, which is very important since there's no shredder on this map. So he knows that there might be a lack of lumber potentially. Which we see is also an issue for Neutron here. It's just not, even for human on a map like that, it's just not that easy to get up in lumber.
Right, he's still banging his head against these towers now with tanks even. Wow, I haven't seen Barrett in like 5 years. Looks actually kind of decent.
Yeah, gyros are pretty strong since they got buffed. Also more pricey, but if you manage to keep them alive, very nice units. And yeah, now he has a better chance here if he doesn't lose his MK.
Man, is he actually breaking this?
At least the lower ground here. Eshan should not get supply block though. He has enough moonwells uphill, but yeah, as you see, that's a downside for human. Like, he can't really heal these units except with staff, so it will take a long time for him to heal all these tanks up and all these gyros. So should be able to hold this. This paladin is going to die again.
A super rough time, and this Mountain King, wow, staffed with 3 HP. That was pretty sick by Neutron. There his one-on-one skills come to shine. We have another attack, by the way, by Laegoose and his chimeras against Seksi, finally getting some damage done.
Yeah, 97 supply for Laegoose against 76 for Seksi. I like that the elf is going for 100 supply here, otherwise the undead will not be forced into producing and will just kite you forever. And undead heroes are pretty strong late game against elf, or against most units, so you really want to get some stuff done early on. And
so stay on guard.
Sorry.
Yeah, but I didn't want to cut you off. Explain the important things.
No, I just wanted to mention that Neutron, due to losing the heroes, he managed to get up to level 6 on his Archmage. And Mass TP obviously very strong, but you need to support him with some gold, and he doesn't have the gold at this point, so I don't really think he can make use of it.
So the late game Undead hero combo seems to be Mass Gargs and then some damage behind it.
Yeah, Undead has the issue that, like, on one hand, heroes can, or you want your heroes to carry late game, and you just need some units to like defend 100 supply pushes early on, and Gargs are the obvious solution, but Gargs are difficult to keep alive and very expensive, so Undead just wants to convert Gargs into experience early on. And alternatively, and we see that by side, he plays Necro Wagon often. It's very nice, but also very difficult to micro and not very flexible, so and we see right here, like, Seksi is just kiting here. And he has the mana fountain in the center to just get back a mana, so...
The beauty of the Unholy Aura. Same like in one-on-one. Still got his expo kick, and has now, like, 2 gold mines remaining, I think?
Yeah, he lost the other gold mine too, but he is on 15k gold almost, so...
Yeah, that looks pretty good.
And if you compare it to Laegoose, who had just 1 mine less, but he's on 3k, so it's a big difference already. Now he's diving with these hippos, so not sure if that's a good call here. Needs to get some breath of fire and some rockets onto these Gargs before diving with the hippos, I think. But
yeah, we got the breath of fire and Drunken Hazen, but the rockets are definitely missing. Carrion Swarm hits hard, but still around 100 supply. Like, he didn't lose too much and is reproducing like crazy.
Yeah, so that's tricky. That if you lose that much gold early on, or if you're starting to fight with that kind of a gold disadvantage, it's very easy for that, in this case Undead, to just tome you and just kill your stuff over and over, and it's not that easy to scout even. So I'm not sure Laegoose will realize, or does realize even, how far behind he is in gold, like that he's up against 15k. So you could argue that he has no. If Seksi wanted to kill him, he could do that right now. He could just push with multiple 100 supply armies, but he doesn't have to because he has more expos. And being the dominant player can have a disadvantage in FFA. If you dominate from the get-go, you tend to get teamed harder later on. So,
And obviously he wants the high-level heroes, as you mentioned before, so he has these little traits. He can super easily replace his units, and he's kind of feeding off Laegoose then.
yeah, exactly. And you can, in some cases, you can keep your enemy alive, barely. But you need to be careful, obviously, to not... Like, you need to keep him in check. You don't want that enemy to... like,
Yeah.
you want to keep remain in a dominant position. And obviously, if, in this case, Neutron and Eshan continue to fight, and one of them finishes the other, Seksi all of a sudden might be reliant on Laegoose, or may get teamed by him, because Laegoose knows that he has mined a lot. So it's always difficult. You don't want to finish too early, but also don't want to prolong your one-on-one too long.
Cool strategies in place. We take out one Chimera, Drunken Haze, Breath of Fire, and immediately out of that fight again. Mischance pretty crazy, Carrion Swarm as well. And seems like Neutron and Eshan, they kind of found an agreement finally. Oh yeah, but the Gargs, man, they're so way too crazy that Laegoose has to get out.
Yeah.
Losing pretty much everything.
Yeah, I guess it's not the worst thing for him. He can consider dropping to 50 supply now, just detonating some wisps, and yeah, that's what he does, I guess. Yeah, he's killing his own Chimera to go on 50. He needs gold. He knows he has no chance in like just competing in gold. So and it's bad spot for him. Then on the other side, Neutron and Eshan agree to peace and to just get some gold again. It doesn't make sense really to just continue fighting on 80 without getting anything done. You just fall behind both. So it's nice to get some gold and then continue to fight. But yeah, Neutron is having some heavy lumber issues here. So
Super high on gold, of course, 7.5k with 4 gold mines. That looks nice. Ah, okay, he constructs a lumber mill. This looks a little bit like Age of Empire-esque right now.
yeah, his main base is not the most beautiful one I've witnessed, but I guess it gets the job done. And yeah, usually I mean it's in most games on a map with that many mines, we do see almost all players with 10k, 15k gold at least, and it's like not uncommon to see players getting up to 25, 30k gold, but also especially with high heroes later on. And 100 supply armies, you can lose gold quite quickly. Like 100 supply army can easily be worth 4 to 5k if with certain units. So if you just lose it too quickly, you can get rid of 20k pretty quickly within 15 to 20 minutes. So yeah, we'll see.
So as a one-on-one player and caster, I see here talents in crow form. Do they actually have a use here, or is it just memeing right now?
It's nice, like nice addition to your air army. Like you get vision and you get that armor reduction, which can be very key in air fights. And obviously you can always use them for scouting, for example, or can use them in talent form. So it's not unusual, but lazy elves sometimes, like me, tend to just go for pure chippo. So in the past, like back in the days around like until 2000 and I don't know 12, 13, so before even I joined the FFA community, many elf players just went for pure chippo, not even investing in a bear or in a dryad for dispel. So just pure chimeras and hippos all game.
Nice.
Which
That sounds like a typical Night Elf unit combo.
yeah. For FFA it does, but nowadays like it's definitely worth to invest in bear, dryads for dispel, and some other units every now and then.
Yeah.
The town is under siege.
I like these little chimera attacks over the forest. Seems pretty hard to defend them. they come out of nowhere and like 2 volleys and the haunted gold mine is gone.
A player's forces are
Yeah.
under attack.
You need to be careful on this map. On one hand, it's a very nice map to siege a main base with air, but you also need to be very careful with chimeras because obviously they are much slower than hippos and garks, so
Yeah.
can get killed easily. And yeah, Seksi is trying to get some more pickoffs here, but is getting scouted here. The reveal by Neutron. So Neutron knows that Laegoose is in a bit of a weaker spot, but yeah, not sure. I mean,
Town is under siege.
everyone is scouting and getting some gold here, and it seems Eshan might be attacking Laegoose here, simply because he knows that Laegoose is in a weak spot, and it doesn't make any sense to keep anyone in the game, so it feels a bit nasty, but can make sense to attack the weakest player. Like in an honor-full match, you would try to finish your one-on-one. But in this situation, it's just tricky because they know that Seksi with that mid mine was having an advantage.
Town is
So
under siege.
And it's about the finals, so it's all about the W.
yeah, and you want to win at all costs.
Yep.
So yeah, Neutron very nicely dropping to 50, and that's something that Eshan in this situation, I think a big mistake by him. If your initial enemy drops to 50. And you piece, you don't want to stay on 80 supply if he's on 50. Like, it makes no sense. He loses so much gold right now.
Yeah, he realized his mistake earlier in chat. And what can he really do now except take out more expansions? He's kind of stuck on that side of the main of the base or TP somewhere. And force a fight with Neutron again, but that doesn't seem to be like the best advice either.
Yeah, he needed to kill off his units, I guess. Like even killing 25 supply can make sense if that allows you to hoard on 4 mines for 50 minutes. That's definitely worth it. So bit of a mistake here. And yeah, we see here like the elf heroes against good well-kiting undead. The elf heroes will get almost no experience because you just can't get to these garks, and the undead heroes are getting experience. So
Yeah, right here. It was a pretty good usage of Scroll of Healing. I think it was like 3 Tinker Rockets plus Breath of Fire combos, but always healed against that.
yeah,
That seems to be a big upside for the undead shop in FFA.
for sure. Depending on the map, on this map here, and I mean at least Laegoose passes the shop whenever he comes to, whenever he walks across the map here to the left. But
A player's forces are under attack.
it's annoying, especially for elf to not have
You see-
instant access.
You seem a little frustrated against undead.
No, it's all right. I think fighting undead is not the worst. Like I think it's okay. Humans complain most about undead. Like that's a pattern in FFA also.
And 1-on-1, exactly.
Yeah, and
Alright.
apparently with like humans were hit hard by the buff of what patch was it? The 129 patch where Dreadlord, Carrion Swarm,
Player's forces
all of a sudden did
Hit
affect
mechanical
mechanical units, and that was
Yeah.
a huge deal. So all of a sudden undead from probably the worst race maybe potentially in FFA became a very strong one. Maybe not the worst race, second worst race, but that was a huge change. And obviously tanks being force supply
Oh, yeah.
also.
So Seksi want to do some negotiation, but Laegoose didn't answer, so the killing continues.
Yeah, Seksi knows that with his shades, I think I've seen a shade somewhere. He knows that they have pieced, and also by chat. So he knows it's difficult because in his position, I still think it would make sense to finish Laegoose, but it's not easy. Like Laegoose is up to 8k gold, and he has APs here uphill. And that's a downside. Like that was probably one of the reasons why Seksi chose this map, because if you're a dominant player with nice micro, it's very easy to defend against multiple players here because you have uphill and you can just kite out of your main base. But it's also very difficult to kill a player here. So
I like that Laegoose has had no idea that his expo was gone for like 3-4 minutes. Just
Yeah.
realized it now.
can happen if you're, especially since he might be overwhelmed after just returning to FFA before the
Yeah.
season. It's not easy to keep track of everything if you're focused on staying alive in your main base. So Neutron,
But it's super
Yeah.
sweet that he apologizes for it.
yeah. But that can it's always nice to have some positive chat or some fun chat. Like can turn the other way quickly. But yeah.
That's definitely a cool factor about FFA compared to the one-on-one where everything is so super serious, and yeah, there seem to be some jokesters as well. But that is just one gold mine remaining for Laegoose.
Yeah, and soon, and that's the upside right now, soon all these mines will be empty, except the mid mines. And I do think once Eshan mined out the top left here, which will be rather soonish, and also the bottom right, and Neutron will also be done with his expo soon, I guess there is no more incentive to just stay passive. So it will be all about these center mines and all about like really getting some gold and killing some player. So yeah, right now Neutron with a gold lead. So after his difficult, rough start with this 80 supply push, he's now in a decent spot with 20k gold here, getting some towers up, and I like that he's getting arcane towers, very nice for scouting. And
Wow, that's pretty sick. Just see it for the first time. It's like the biggest massive arcane towers I've ever seen. I would definitely advise to team up on Neutron as well, just because it's Neutron. But we have another fight in the south.
yeah, and Laegoose is still like he's still level 332. It's so annoying as elf, and it's if you have slightly higher levels, you can just try to get more chimeras, try to push the undead main, and you usually get off some damage with Tinker and Panda. You could also consider to transition to fairy dragons at some point, simply because they can get nuked, but on the other hand, undead with 17k still able to get 100 supply gargs, and it's not nice for fairy dragons. So
We got 2 new subs here. Thank you, Jet Buell, for the 10 month. You must construct additional pylons. Wrong game, buddy. And expect for the 3-year resub. 3 years of you guys. Love you too.
yeah, we have no subs here on the FFA Masters channel, but 2 I just see it at the top of my second screen. We have 2 subscribers, so thanks to them. I have no idea when they subscribed, probably a month ago, or permanent subscribers, but yeah, thanks to them.
All my 1,000 viewers right now should definitely head over to twitch.tv/FFA Masters and give at least a follow.
Yeah, and if you're not interested to watch like very long games, there's also the YouTube channel where we tend to only upload the more exciting games or finals. And we do see an attack here. Yes, okay. Neutron is getting attacked by Eshan, who is
Are under attack.
still up to 77 supply, but this may trigger Neutron into getting 100 supply and trying to mass TP. And yeah, he's pumping now.
Wow. Is he still in time to TP over?
No, but these expos, like with 870 gold and
Yeah.
whatever,
Yeah.
it doesn't really matter at this point. He's up to 23k gold almost, and not that much lumber, but I guess he's alright. In the meantime, yeah, we do see Seksi, who obviously realizes that they are fighting again on the other side, so he can now try to push into the elf base more aggressively.
Town is under siege.
Again, defended by ancient protectors, do a little splash, that's pretty nice. So, when is Neutron ready for this? He's at 80 now. Could TP if he wants to.
Yeah, I don't think he should. I think he should try to go for mass TP and just try to get 100 supply first. You really want to have these convincing fights. And he knows that he's up in gold. He He had the mid mine and he was on 50 supply. Eshan was only on 80 supply, so he knows he has an advantage.
Nice sleep so far.
Ooh, and the Panda dies.
Just the moment I skipped away to take a look at the expansion, of course, there's the new typical Neo camera control.
That may happen more often, like
Yeah.
exiting this stuff.
Nice that unit framework. Laegoose is calling for help. 20 supply down, 25 supply down. Doesn't have that much gold anymore. Is it an option now to really come for help to sandwich Seksi here?
At this point, because like I think that's a common mistake. Unless Seksi is like super far ahead, which they know he is not, many less experienced players would help in this situation. But in that, if you do that, it will like all 4 players will remain in the game, and your chances for winning, no matter what position you are in, are lower if it's a 4-way. So you want to get it to a 3-way. And that's something we do see Neutron now attacking Seksi, and I do think that's a mistake very often that you will see very often by less experienced players. A good player in this situation, like a very experienced FFA player, would never help. Why would you help? Like, he has 20k gold, so he's not at risk here, really, to... he's not at risk to lose to Seksi later on right now, so the only thing he does right here is attacking Seksi, so it's not going to end up in the 3-way, and he is at risk of getting teamed 3v1 now. So Laegoose is able to stay alive and has 6k gold still, so 6k gold is a nice bank to stay alive.
Neutron just sees the undead heroes and undead armies. We're dead.
Yeah, and these undead heroes are very scary, but you can still team the undead later on. I mean, Seksi is on 21k, but maybe Neutron feels confident to get some experience off. Wow, 3 or 4 HP Divine Shield, and he kills the MK. So,
Yeah, the DK just died, so no aura anymore. Makes, of course, kiting a lot harder. Needs a revive for that.
yeah, instant revive here. He has the gold, and yeah, Undead here being surprised is losing a lot of HP here on these Gargs, but I mean, he can afford it. But this is exactly the situation where, as a human player, you usually don't want to help, because now, like, you still have 4 players in the game, and you get teamed later. He's very lucky here that Eshan is trying to get some experience off Laegoose now, because if Eshan could decide to either just continue to hoard now, or like he's in a strong spot now, and Neutron, yeah. Neutron needs to get some stuff done now, and this is not a nice position to fight into an undead main base.
We know that from one-on-one as well. Never fight into an undead base. Remains true in FFA as well, especially when it's blocked like this. This looks like StarCraft-esque, how this choke is protected.
Yeah. And we see some damage here, but yeah, instantly losing the MK. Slightly under-leveled. And yeah, humans can't really heal these mechanical armies.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, and that's Eshan is able to use some of his gold to get experience of Laegoose here, but yeah, it's an interesting constellation. We do see 2 cross-map fights. Usually not. Usually, yeah.
Yeah, we had 2 trees of life fighting about this gold mine, but now it's mined out, and they say, okay, buddy, it's a draw. Let's have a beer together and chill a bit.
Yeah, I guess there's not much gold left, right? There is, apart from the mid mines, but it will be much more difficult now to mine them. And that was a better fight here for Neutron, killing some Gargs. It's actually down to 67 supply. Is pumping up instantly. I think he is not, like, he doesn't have as many crypts. Usually he has 1, 2, 3, 4 crypts. You want to have more, 5 crypts. Okay, so guess he's alright, but you usually want to have more crypts here in this situation. Just to pump out units quickly. And that's a mistake many FFA players do on ladder that are not as experienced. Even if you have mass gold, it's not that easy to defend if you only have like 2 or 3 production buildings, so you really want a lot. So we do see some human players in particular going up to 15 workshops we saw this season in one game. Just to
The nightmare.
just to convert units gold into gyros in that case quickly. So
Player's
Um,
forces are
Yeah, otherwise you have a bottleneck
yeah.
for production, obviously.
And Laegoose found some of these acolytes here of Seksi, so he is getting some kills. And what's Eshan going to do here? Is he going to attack Neutron? No, not sure.
So we're slowly but steady going towards level 6 on a couple of heroes. Is there any ultimate that is really super strong? I mean, of course, Mass Teleport, you mentioned that already.
Yeah, that's the strongest. In this situation, obviously, Dreadlord level 6 with the Infernal. Very, very nice to have. And for Elf, they want the Tinker on level 6, but Panda 2 and also Tranquility is amazing, so you want all heroes on level 6 here. For Undead, it's mainly the Dreadlord, really. Death and Decay can be useful later on, but in this situation, he would not use it anyways.
a player's
And the Undead is going for Aura 3, just like in 1-on-1, I assume.
Yeah, and this very difficult to push into, so he can definitely hold on here, and or should be able to hold on. I think he's a bit too far out of his main base here. Needs to be careful, and no invul on this Dreadlord. Catching the coil.
The Carrion Swarms are hitting nice, like the gyro numbers are definitely depleted,
Yeah.
but he also faces 5 tanks with barrage, so maybe it isn't that easy.
Yeah, and here in the south we do see Eshan just on 75 supply, and he has more, like he's not, due to this mountain giant and also the expo, he has a smaller army than Laegoose, so can't really fight this unless he's going up to 100 supply in hippos, and doesn't seem to be willing to do so.
Neutron going a couple of breakers now is I think the last one mining on this map for 450. And what do we do when there's no gold mines anymore?
Yeah, then it's about like really spending the gold, and the Dreadlord being surrounded here needs to be very careful not lose it. He is forced into the TP. And we shouldn't forget that Seksi is playing with like a 200 ping here from US Midwest, US West Coast, so
Oh wow.
always surprising how well he can play with this kind of ping even. It's not easy without US East server. Thanks Blizzard. So and our community is very diverse geographically, so we have some South American players, many players from the US, and then Europe and Russia, up to Siberia, so very far east in Russia, and it's just a pain with the current, like without a hotspot. So that's why I'm really frustrated with whenever there's a hotspot hater on Reddit telling us that hotspots were really bad anyways because they were only flooding the custom game list.
Yeah.
I hate it. Like it was such an essential piece of our infrastructure, and now it's not.
We have to make a pledge for Pat to finally invest some time and bring them back.
Yeah, I saw Niels on the Back to Warcraft server earlier today. I mean, he was the legend who implemented all these great hotspots and all the infrastructure early on. So at least there should be some documents about it still. So maybe at some point someone will be able to do it.
All right, we have another fight here with it's Eshan now trying to
a player's forces
push into
are under
Laegoose
attack.
base again, but it's kind of like a stalemate situation between them, especially with the high ground.
Yeah, and that's
Moon World
if
Tour.
he's Eshan doesn't want to commit to 100 supply cross map here because he's not entirely certain that he can finish it, and he's not entirely certain if Neutron is just like he knows that both have gold still, so he doesn't want to commit too hard into this elf base. He wants to get some experience, but and Neutron is, interestingly, is the player who manaps most here. He's trying to convince someone to team up against Seksi. And yeah, we do see that he's defending quite well, so I don't think he's at risk of losing his main base here with all these towers.
Don't you need like a huge advantage to break these chokes?
Yeah, it depends. Like, if you can get off, like with Infernal, for example, over time you can easily kill towers. If you stay back and you coil the Infernal, you can, like, it just takes time, but you usually have more time in FFA. And especially, like, if you're an elf with Tinker and Panda on high level, it's super easy to kill towers if the human plays very passively. So that's why the greatest human FFA players were always playing very aggressively. Like, they make use of the gold, they mass TP all over the map, and you're getting into a more passive and reactive situation. So ooh, and we do see a fight here between Seksi and Eshan. Interesting. So did they piece? Interesting. No, they did not. So Seksi trying to get some experience off Eshan here, which, like, is a nice move for us, but can be difficult for him later on, because that's an easy thing to do if you want to get teamed by Neutron, who yeah.
Neutron's cry for help is finally paying off, but doesn't seem to be too efficient. DK in trouble, has a TP and heal scroll, gets out so far. Oh, more and more heal scrolls here. So that's a very good situation for Neutron, right? He's cleaning out that base, and then he should be fine if he's paying attention.
Yeah, big mistake here by Seksi, I think. You never want to attack a second player if you know that one other player is going to attack you again. And yeah, he needs some more mana here, so he needs to... He's not going to the mana fountain, interesting. And he's losing the DK again. But level 6 Dreadlord now. And
Mountain King also dead. Nice little slaughter here. Seksi down to 67.
And that's how you can easily get rid of your gold, if you just lose heroes and revive tavern heroes over and over. Like, that's so costly.
So it seems like they piece a little. Neutron is towering this expansion to make sure that there's no mining going on. There's still 7,000 left. Could have some value, but of course everyone will keep tabs on that one remaining gold mine.
Yeah, and we do have 666 here for Seksi, so very nice levels, but also Neutron caught up in levels, so he's 653, and obviously you want your Paladin on level 5, but as soon as you have Divine Shield, you're not going to lose him as quickly, and MK level 5 is already very nice. So really only Laegoose lagging behind in levels right now, and yeah, there's no way Seksi will allow Neutron to tower up this expo.
Interesting that Laegoose is still in this game and still doing some damage. Like, he's so far down in gold, he must be super careful.
Yeah, but it's not like it's always tricky if you don't have the levels. You want your MK on level 6, but you can always come back and win somehow. So that's why, if you, being one of the other players, you want to finish your initial 1-on-1, unless one other player gets defeated before that.
So Infernal is out, being dealt with rather quickly, I'd say. Not the biggest amount of damage. Oh, that's expensive. Oh, Paladin, that's the expensive word I was about to say.
And
but
surround on the
DK here. Against surround on the DK, yeah.
Ooh, but the Paladin?
Super hard to see. Okay, everything survives for now. Dreadlord was soaking up some mana at the fountain, can dash out more carrion swarms, but whoopsie, there's a storm wall in another surround. He's the one carrying the TP, so it should be fine. Oh, it's not fine at all. Maybe that's the ping coming in.
Yeah, he should have TP'd. That was
Yeah.
very obvious. And if he taverns that Dreadlord, it's going to be very costly. But this choke is not good for the human. The undead can easily kill off these tanks.
Getting sandwiched now, though.
Yeah, that's... yeah. Now very bad for Seksi here. We do see him getting teamed here. Laegoose also trying to get some pickoffs. Obviously he's... yeah, he's just desperate for levels, so he needs some experience, and that's a bit of a tricky situation always for Elf in this situation. If you are stuck with 5k gold and low levels, you need to use time to get some levels, so usually you would want to go up to 100 supply now and try to, in his situation, probably try to fight Eshan here, just to get some levels, because the longer you wait, the more difficult it will get for you to not just lose your army without getting any XP. So,
Town is under siege.
yeah, not an easy situation to be in, but at least he's in the game still. So,
You as a Knight Elf have to explain something to me. I see a Tree of Eternity being done. Of course, we have a lot of Chimeras for Eshan. And now he attacks again.
yeah, it's better safe than sorry. So I'm not sure. I personally would not take two trees to. Not 2 trees to tier 3, but it can make sense to buy potions still. Like, you really want these potions, and
Okay.
it's obviously a second tree if you're potentially up against mass TP, and he even has 3 trees here in this main base. A second tree can be nice just so you don't accidentally lose your main base to mass TP tanks. But
Yeah, that's the thing, of course. I didn't think of that.
and also tier 3, very nice due to anti-magic potions. So that's something you like. That's nice to have, but I wouldn't take up to tier 3 just because of that.
Another little push by Eshan. But I think Laegoose is just holding on like always. We have
Yeah.
a couple of new subs. Thank you, New Hero, for 19 months. Clad A for 4 months. With tier 2 sub to wonderful human being. Ruffins for 5 months. And Zebi 4 Light for 20 months. Madness! This is blocked.
And we have a 100 supply fight here, and Laegoose just with 80 supply, and we do see right here the power of 100 supply. Now Eshan joining with 100 supply here, or starting the fight with 100 supply, and we do see right here with low levels. It's a nice move by Eshan. With low levels, you can't really defend against 100 supply, no matter how big your main base is. So he needed to scout it early and
Are under attack.
get up in units soon enough. And now Eshan, what's he doing?
A town is under siege.
He's just staffing back out. So he can just wait for Laegoose to get some more units and then just get some more XP here. So we do see right here he's holding back his units, and
Eshan is mining again. And he finally got the level 6 Tinker. So Robo Goblin available. Big rockets and another TP force. He's getting pretty fat with his zeros now.
yeah, and that's exactly like he was behind in gold and he found a way here. And that's something Neutron was responsible for. By piecing with Eshan and attacking Seksi, he allowed Eshan to attack the weakest player and get experience off him. So, I mean, Neutron also got experience, but I think it was a very interesting call, to say the least. But now Seksi is coming for the help here. Interesting, and I like the aggressive playstyle, but in this situation, I'm pretty sure Eshan and Neutron are about to team against Seksi after both got attacked by him now. So
Neutron is waiting for it for like 15 minutes already. Let's kill this, he's unkillable.
yeah, that's Neutron, I guess. And he has
Yeah.
a big army now, a lot of tanks, but this map is just horrible for tanks. Like I don't see him pushing into this undead main base, except he has some... I mean, he has an Invis MK, but that MK is now toast.
Exactly, there was a staff ready, didn't use it. So I guess the tanks are bad because there's so many chokes. So many narrow positions.
Yeah, I mean, you can mass TP into a main base, that's if it's not closed. Like, elves can close up close out the main bases very easily, but yeah, Neutron is forced to mass TP out or to TP out here, and will now ask Eshan to team against Seksi, I assume. We'll see.
So usually you would use mass TP offensively and then normal TP defensively, I
Yeah,
assume?
I mean, unless you can't mass TP out, I guess, like
Yeah,
you save
yeah.
350 gold, but
Yeah, sure.
really, like, the best players, and it's not that easy on a map like this, but you just, like, they are not walking anymore. Like, Neutron is walking across the map a lot. You just mass TP around. Like, why would you walk? You can just mass TP all over the place. Like, the cooldown is like 15 seconds or 20
it's
seconds.
ridiculous.
So and there's no need to walk anymore. And now he's forced into a TP. Level 776 for the undead.
He used to push forward. So gold-wise, Seksi is still ahead, but Neutron is still very close.
Yeah, but he already lost 20k gold here in like useless pushes, and now Eshan is still on 7.5k and it's in a very comfortable spot because no one seems to have him on the radar here. He's just, yeah, he's just getting levels off Laegoose. He can wait for Eshan for Neutron to fight Seksi sometime, so
The Neutron Eshan feud continues.
yeah, you need to be very careful with Eshan. He's very smart and very easy to man-up you if you're not careful. He also joined like season 28. He joined under a Smurf. Like there's a history of smurfing in FML. Like it's prohibited, but Rectify, one legendary elf player who won one of his FML titles under the Smurf. What was it? Dark Flame Master, I think. And Eshan tried to join the season, I think it was season 28, under the Smurf Velociraptor, and was discovered.
How do you figure that out? With like key bindings and stuff?
Yeah, there are some ways. Back then it was easy because it was there were some we had more control over hotspots and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I can imagine.
That changed.
And we have another fight here, Knight of Mirror in the south again.
Yeah, and now Eshan with the level advantage doesn't even need to go to 100 supply to kill the reigning army. And again, Seksi coming in here and
Oh wow.
getting some experience. And now, yeah,
He should be able to get so much experience if he pushes through. Seksi use snake again. Nice little backstab here. Forcing a TP, just grabbing up more experience.
yeah.
Getting bigger and bigger.
I'm not sure, honestly. Like in Seksi's shoes, it's just a difficult situation after he attacked Eshan here, because like he could also just finish Laegoose now. Like he knows he could do that, and maybe he hopes that Laegoose is going to help him, because it seems very obvious that Eshan and Neutron are going to team him for a while now. So still, I think it would be a better situation for him to just finish Laegoose now. Like he's just, it usually accelerates the game once you finish the fourth player. And there's just no, like, Laegoose in this situation. He has 1.1k gold. He has low-level heroes. And as long as he's in the game, there is not, like, it's more difficult to balance.
I love the chat going on. It's absolutely wonderful that Neutron and Eshan finally come to a conclusion that it might be good to team up against.
And Seksi, is he scouting only here? He's diving into the main base.
Yeah.
Or is he going to attack? He is going to attack, and he's almost sniping. Did that keeper die, or was it staffed? Where is it? Oh, it died.
Just-
Yeah. It looked for a second as if he was about to staff it. And
Nah,
yeah, this
too
is
much micro for Night Elves, obviously.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
Too.
but he's a random player, so maybe you can cope with it.
Okay.
And yeah, this is a free ticket for Neutron here to attack Zexi's main base, and I like that Seksi is sealing off his main base with Gargs. But these two, Nerubian towers, so this Spirit Tower will not be a lot of help here against the tanks, so Seksi...
This looks like tower defense right now.
And Seksi
It is a lot of damage, but seems to be fine. Now he's forcing the army back.
And that MK is getting closer to level 6, so needs to be careful. That's a lot of damage here. And could have seen that coming. So
it's the ultimate barrage. Neutron was just waiting for it, I guess. To push through.
So we'll see. Even if Neutron loses everything here, he's dealing some serious damage to this main base and may get his MK to level 6 even, which will be pretty good for him.
Magic immune versus undead, hooray! Give me that.
Ooh, sleep on the paladin, but nice waking up. And now the DK is forced into the invul. May try to nuke the Archmage here, but is running out of mana and wants to use the Carrion Swarm against the remaining tanks here. The Lich also has to... Ooh!
Archmage! In deep trouble, needs another nuke, so that's a TP out.
And now the MK. Wow.
Dead. Was there no spell on the paladin anymore, or did he just miss it?
Yeah, he had his
no
staff,
mana.
but he had his staff ready on that paladin, so micro mistake here by Neutron. And
it's 70 supply gone, or well, 50 supply gone. So he has to use like what 4k to get back in fighting shape. 4k, 5k.
yeah, so Neutron is like needs to invest a lot of gold now to push again, and it's just not like mechanical units at this point are just not doing the job anymore, really.
Oh, we have a hero kill on the DK once again, as there was no TP anymore. Eshan with nice timing on this attack.
And that was a very important kill here, getting level 6 on the Paladin, and also the Keeper getting closer to level 6. Yeah, Eshan trying to get some free experience here, but at some point he will... I guess he might be forced to peace with Seksi here. If he scouts that undead main base, he should realize that this undead main base is super weak. And unlike on some other maps, on this one without a lab, you don't have the chance to hide any acolytes in a Zeppelin, which usually is your best way to stay alive. And interesting, Seksi is killing off his own worms here because he's supply blocked, and
wow,
yeah.
That's a lot of net worth just gone down the drain.
Yeah. So he should tell the other players. Let's see. Eshan is pushing into this.
Yeah, he wanted to peace, but there was one backstab too many. And now Eshan has had enough and just gonna wreck him. 30 supply, that's it.
Yeah, and if Eshan wants to, he could, if he feels confident against Neutron, he could try to finish Seksi, but it's risky because there's still, that's what I meant earlier, there's still Laegoose here in the south. If Eshan had finished him, he could potentially try to just finish Seksi now and easily have a straight up battle against Neutron, but in this situation, we'll see. Yeah, if he wants, he can definitely try to finish it. And he seems to go for it here. And that's a big mistake by Seksi to not have saved any acolytes across the map. So, it's, like, he chose this map, so it's him to blame, but he can easily die here. Eshan is going to peace potentially. Like, he doesn't want to take the risk.
It seems very tempting to just kill him off.
Yeah, it's risky though. Like, you still have a human with mass TP against you, and I'm not sure he knows how much gold Neutron has, because he potentially didn't see how much, how many units Neutron lost, so. Maybe he just finishes the production buildings here. Like, he's not killing the altar here. At least not yet. Maybe he does so. He just wants to make sure that... And Seksi is on 10k gold almost, so... He could easily get an army, and yeah, he's... he is pulling back now. in-house matches, like just casual matches, I guess he would have definitely gone for the kill here. But there's too much on the line. You don't just want to give Neutron a free win potentially if you're not entirely sure that you can finish the game.
All right. So what did Laegoose do? I didn't really see it.
He's harassing here with some fairy dragons, trying to help
Yeah, I
Seksi. So now he's going to pay for it. And the downside, like once you lie on the ground, like you're an easy target, and you should better stay on under the radar for the rest of the game. So now he will get killed potentially. Chimera streaming in.
No mercy anymore. He was left alive for like 15-20 minutes, but
Yeah, Seksi was helping him earlier, but now he has no heroes to help with. And yeah, it's usually good for the game if one player is out. Like feels bad for Laegoose. He's a nice guy. Would have deserved a slot in the final, but eventually only one player can win. So
coming from the rookie bracket, he held on for like an hour. That's pretty cool. And
Yeah.
made it to the semifinal. It's also pretty cool. So next season, he can advance on that and learn quite a bit.
and Eshan managed to get his keeper to level 6 here, so very important.
Player's forces are under attack. The town is under siege.
And Laegoose has some hidden trees still, so he's not entirely out still. He has one here. He is harassing Eshan now, but I don't think they will allow him to stay in the game.
So there should be enough scouting.
But Neutron is going for and that could turn out to be a huge mistake here. Neutron is going for the kill on Seksi, and it's his biggest weakness, that he feels too confident sometimes. And honestly, I think this is a very, very risky move by him here, to go for the main base at least.
He still has like 20 supply lead, but the undead main. There's no towers anymore. There's
Hey,
no second hero. Okay, oh no, the heroes are all back, aren't they? No, Lich is
the
missing.
Lich is still dead, and there's no way Seksi can defend this with 60 supply and a low HP DK. So, and he hasn't managed to save an Acolyte still. That's a
Player's forces are under attack.
big mistake here if you really want to win the game.
And there's just some shades. He would love to remorph them, I guess.
Yeah. And this
Dreadlord,
Dreadlord,
he can't TP anywhere. He's just dead.
he could TP, but he doesn't want to.
Yeah, I mean it
Yeah, I wouldn't have saved him for much longer, yeah.
Exactly, it doesn't help him. It's just 20 meters west.
And Seksi is whispering to us. Human. Yeah. Easy to get frustrated. And yeah, now he's... I mean, Eshan can feel very confident here, despite only having 3k gold. He just really want to save some acolytes.
So Laegoose is still in. Seksi is somehow still in. Both super crippled.
And
Neutron is definitely the richest. Just needs some more supply. So how does the armies fare? Like, it looks like Ethan and Neutron are gonna be the final two.
yeah, usually it's both will be hesitant in these games, at least. Both will be hesitant to finish normally, to finish Seksi, because it's a huge risk. You don't know if he's really, like, if you can really finish off his last buildings. And if you're not able to finish him entirely, you might get teamed by high-level heroes. So that's why usually you try to weaken players a bit more before, like usually Neutron and Eshan, once it becomes a three-way, would try to attack each other just to see if they are really, like, how strong they really are. In this situation, I don't think any of these players can feel overly confident to finish the other. Eshan has strong heroes, and yeah, Laegoose just without a chance here. Losing the keeper, and also the panda is going to die here.
Yeah, he knows exactly where he is. Just sniping him as it seems. Yep, there's no TP anymore. Next hero dead. Bye bye. Level 7. We got a big host by the Muslim. Thank you very much for the 600 viewers. Welcome to some FFA.
And we do see Mass TP here. Probably. Neutron.
Oh,
Preparing.
Invisible. Sweet.
And where's his army? There in the center. Not many tanks, just 71 supply, so it's usually, again, especially against Moonwells, that many Moonwells and a level 7 Tinker. I don't think 70 supply can really do much, but we'll see. He is going for it, as it seems, preparing some inner fire. And it's a nice draw. And now Seksi finds some time to save an Acolyte here, finally. Like that's,
it took him like 10 minutes or so.
Yeah. He likes straight up fighting, but he's usually not spending much time on preparing for the late game. And he's not losing the Acolyte yet, but now Mass TP coming in here, and I don't think he can get much stuff done.
He gets the 2 Chimeras, of course. There's a couple of towers. Oh, TP by Eshan as well. Wants to fight this. And now it's a really good thing that the tech to tier 3 once again. TP out without many losses. The backup tree of eternity turns out to be a nice move.
Yeah, it's definitely helping to have a second tree there, but it's just like he killed one tree. Okay, was a bit costly, but he will need a lot. Like now, obviously, Eshan made peace with Seksi, and it will take him a long time to finish the elf here. That's so many Moonwells. It's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 15. Eshan has more than 20 Moonwells here, so I don't really see him losing. And a second knight coming in, but don't really think that's...
Seems like it doesn't do too much. Like he's giving the other players some time to get information, and in Seksi's case to rebuild.
Yeah, 70 supply or 80 supply human armies against level 7 Tinker and level 6, 7 Pen are just not very useful. You really need 100 supply, and then you can get some stuff done. But it also became more difficult for... became more difficult for elves to defend in the past, before they nerfed these sentinels. You could simply put one of these owls into the tree with your hunts, and then you could see invis units, but obviously it's not possible anymore. Well, you have a timer on them.
Alright, so second last building down, or third last, second last. He has another tree of life, and that's it, I guess, right?
He's getting one more. He's trying to hold on, but 480 gold. That's going to be it here. There's still 5k gold in this mine. I don't think there's that much anymore in this one. So it's
like 3k, 3.5k.
Okay, so at least something, but we'll see who's going to get that.
So there's just a question when they find the tree or when they care about this tree.
And Neutron with a 2k response to the gold here, or just telling the others that he's on 2k gold while having 6.7k. And it's very common for players to either state 30% or roughly 60% of the gold count they actually have. So
I mean, it's very obvious that he's lying, though, right? Like, why would he tell the truth?
Yeah, that's... I mean, sometimes if there are players that always tell the truth, it can be used as an advantage. And now Goose is defeated. And I'm always undecided whether I should write GG. Now I can be perceived as unmannered, but who cares in FFA, so...
If he goes first, for sure. So the rookie is out. We're down to a triple threat. And from this position, who has the better or the best chances?
And now it's all of a sudden it's pretty equal again, I would say. Seksi is in a good spot here, 89 supply, not much gold, but he has levels, and he still has no acolytes or no more acolytes here cross map. So needs to be careful, and it could turn out to be a mistake here by him to weaken the elf main. I'm not sure if he has scouted all these towers, but that will be my top priority. And now Mass TP into the main base here.
And he's going for the Tree of Eternity. This time he doesn't have a backup, so
There is one more
bye-bye.
here, one
Huh?
Tree of Life at least, so
Yeah, Tree of Life. Okay, but
he
no
could
Tree of
still
Eternity
TP, but
guess that's his base then. Okay, Neutron town portaling away. Heal up, refresh, do it again.
yeah, maybe Neutron mass TP'd a bit too early into into that main base here. Was a nice position for him to have Seksi weakening the elf base.
Neutron still so much gold. Sexy, crazy heroes. And Eshan with the highest supply, so quite an interesting three-weight for us. But okay, we're teaming up on Eshan again. DK is kind of stuck. He actually could be... No, rocket's not enough to stun him. Level 3 aura, baby.
I like that Zexi's willing to fight here, but he needs to be super careful to not lose his heroes.
Just deleting this Dreadlord. Goes for the invul to keep him safe without a TP.
Yeah, and it's just so difficult to fight uphill here. And Eshan, 96 supply. So that's a very comfortable position for Neutron now, seeing them fight. And I think also it was a mistake now by Seksi to attack here, because he's in such a weak spot. Like, his heroes are strong, but he just doesn't want to get attacked in his main base. Like, he needs some time to prepare, maybe. So this main base, if Eshan wants to kill Seksi, he could easily do so.
I mean, Sexy can't really lose anything anymore. He's down to 1,000 gold, which is pretty much nothing. So he doesn't want to fight now, I guess.
No, maybe kite a bit, but it's so risky. You don't want to lose. You don't want to lose your heroes, of course, and that's a bit of a tricky situation for Undead in this situation without gold. They know where his buildings are. He can't really hide buildings well. So either of these players could easily base race him right now, at least unless they lose all their gold. And that was a very powerful breath of fire.
Yes. Invul potion again while the Tinker is fighting the Infernal. Crazy matchups here. But Sexy didn't lose too much, right? Just a lot of HP and some items. But not on units. But of course the gold is running low for Field Scrolls as well. Panda last second staff out. What about the Keeper though? Needs a TP soon. Doesn't go for it. That's just the Keeper gone. How can that happen?
Wow, and he's also losing the MG and the Dryad, so it's quite painful. And Neutron is already prepared to mass TP here, which it's tempting for him. And he's trying to go for Zexi's main base first here. So now they definitely have to team up against Neutron if they, I guess, at least from Zexi's position, it's too risky to face mass TP here. And
it's so many tanks. What's there to kill the tanks? I guess Carrion Swarm and...
yeah, he's spreading them very nicely, so it will be very difficult to kill them all without losing all the buildings. But now he's pulling them back, so... MK Invis?
He wants the TP, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh!
Easy kill on that DK. Yeah, so Seksi should ask for help instantly. Like, there is this Acolyte here, but it's very uncomfortable to be down to one building. So...
and Eshan is pretty close as well. Like, you could just kill him if he wants to.
yeah, I'm not sure he wants to, because it's a risk, and you can get help by Seksi right now. So... maybe Neutron feels comfortable against the Elf. Honestly, I would not in his shoes, even with Mass TP. Yeah.
He could just jump into Ethan's base now, I guess, if there's still the invisible unit.
Yeah, it is, but it's super risky. Like, against these Elf heroes, you will just lose all the tanks, so... tricky. So Neutron needs to, I guess, if Neutron wants to finish it quickly, he needs to finish off Seksi first, and then try to mass TP the Elf base with 100 supply and hope for the best, but will not be easy here. Oh, and that's a kill.
And that should be the I'm not too sure if he can TP anymore.
Now he can. There is the...
Okay.
He should do that though. He's not doing
Nope.
that.
I guess he's giving up.
Yeah, maybe he is. Let's see. I mean, he needs, like, he can... Okay, no, he's unsummoning his Necropolis. So
Yeah, it's calling GG.
yeah, it's calling
it's
GG. So it's I think he could have, like, it's still a semifinal. So with like he's in a very rough spot. So I don't think it's easy for him to win here. But okay, now we have a 1-on-1 here against 5k gold Neutron, who is in a nice spot all of a sudden. But 5k gold, you need to spend your 5k very wisely, or you lose quickly.
If you're Eshan, why would you leave your base?
Yeah, he should not right now. I mean, he can try to kite over the trees. Maybe he needs to be very careful to not lose his chimeras here, because he has really no gold left. And now Mass TP going to come in here in a second.
There's an expansion by Eshan, by the way, in the bottom. So he wants to mine out that 3k or whatever it was.
7k, wow.
7k. Scouted though immediately.
Yeah, and he will not be allowed to get any more gold here. So let's see. I mean, for now, I think Neutron is in a great spot here to win this with the gold lead, but it doesn't take too much to lose all these tanks to Tinker Panda. And if you do so, he doesn't have that much gold left. Oh, but Eshan is leaving his main base, and
yep, and that's the TP instantly. So he's trying to take out the buildings as soon as possible.
He's just staffing the Panda here, and Neutron does it right. Like, you just want to Mass TP in, Mass TP out, so you don't want to lose much. And yeah, it looks pretty good for him right now. So playing it well, playing it differently than he did in previous games, where he tried to go all in early on, and this time he was more careful, more hesitant. And I'm very surprised that Eshan and Seksi did not try to team him for at least some time to get rid of these towers. But yeah, Eshan wasn't scouting well, as it seems.
From the FFA's player's perspective, is it like if a one-on-one player that is kind of known in competitive Warcraft is coming into the FFA scene, does it feel like an intruder, and does he get teamed often?
No, I mean, we were very fortunate to have Neutron and Sai joining us before the previous event, because it's always great to see new good players, especially if they have aggressive playstyles. What was frustrating in the past is if you have one-on-one players that expect to have instant success in FFA, and that's often not going to happen, and then they will just blame the mode and will not try to improve. But it's much easier for a good one-on-one player to get used to FFA. So
they know and figure it out, I guess. So we have another Mass TP was revealed quite quickly, so that was well done by Eshan.
Yeah, and now he needs to get rid of these tanks here and not lose the Keeper, potentially. Heal the Keeper.
Not too much Moon Juice left. Of course, the Tinker is going to town against him. The Panda's going to town against him.
Yeah, needs to make sure to keep his Chimeras away from these tanks. Like, you don't want to fly over them.
Panda!
Yeah, not going to heal the Keeper here, and he's focusing on this Archmage way too much. Not sure where did they he's staffed to the south here.
So far away. So far away.
Yeah.
Level 8 Tinker, alright. Rockets take out more of these tanks.
Yeah, so the tanks may die, but I think at this point, Tinker getting surrounded here. That's it for Eshan, I think. With 600k at 600 gold, he won't be able to do much. He can just revive the Keeper if he wants to, but this main base will die. So this 1 second where he left his main base and got Mass TP and was out of control.
Immediately punished.
Yeah.
Well done by Neutron.
I think he could have.
Yeah,
Yeah. Sorry, Grant.
I was just about to say, like, that escalated quickly, as you said before. Like, if one player is out, then the snowball starts, I guess. And the carry hero dies. Level 8 and 7 for MK and Paladin. And looks like that's Neutron in the finals.
Yeah, and lucky for you, it didn't even take 3 hours to...
Lucky for me, it is a pleasure for me to be with you.
Great, yeah, same. Was really looking forward to these 2 semifinals, and one was initially was supposed to be last weekend, but then it got postponed last second, so now it turns out to be very, very cool to have both in 2 days. So tomorrow we will see a bit of a more conventional FFA map, and with Side and Yanker Zam, the winner of season 30, and Alien, one of the old school legends from the US, we will have a very nice cast tomorrow. So this is it.
Yeah.
Neutron with top score here, doesn't matter in the semi-final, but Neutron winning, and yeah, it's just played it safely, utilized his mass TP when he saw a chance to finish the game. And apart from that, I think it was very even between these 3 players, but eventually it's just mass TP is just very, very strong.
That was pretty damn entertaining, with a lot of kiting, with a lot of back and forth, with diplomacy going in, like who's attacking who, and when it's time to backstab, and when it's time to like peace up and stuff, and who's the bitch that is not willing to peace. FFA is great.
Yeah, glad you enjoyed it. Like I prefer games that are really, really close until the last second, and we have these base races often, but in semifinals it can be like sometimes it just spirals out of control, and then you have these wins, in this case kind of free win for Neutron just by using mass TP early on. But it was a fun game, and yeah, I'm really glad you joined me and you streamed it. So
and today was a little bit of an introduction, I guess. Everybody was learning. I was learning a lot. And tomorrow we can go into more depth and see the legends of FFA colliding with Side.
Yeah, and Side has also very entertaining playstyle, very aggressive. Plays similar to 101, just sticks the Necro Wagon, but also he likes the Dreadlord in FFA, and will be interesting for sure. So
all right, tomorrow the starting time is a little different. Today it was 6. Tomorrow it's going to be 8:15 p.m.
Right.
CEST, right?
Right. So yeah, then good night, everyone. I guess we're going to bed soon, and and yeah, thank you, and yeah, speak to you tomorrow.